When you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and in life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Today, I'm excited to have a friend of mine, Larry White, with us. How you doing today, Larry?
Oh, doing great, man. I'm thrilled to be here, brother.
Well, you guys are in for a treat. Larry's from Houston, Texas. He's licensed in Arizona, California, and Nevada. Larry's been as a highly experienced real estate agent, professional with over 15 years in the industry. His unique talent for anticipating market trends and understanding the importance of taking action when others are not willing to really has Larry standing out. He teaches agents how to capitalize on market trends, position themselves for future and exceeding their client expectations. He's grown a great organization within EXP and other companies as well. So excited to hear your story, Larry, and let's bring some value to our listeners, kind of hear your background and take it from there.
Absolutely, man. So, I mean, it started, man, I think I got licensed in 2006, right? Everybody was making so much money. And at the time, I had graduated college. I was an executive at Target. I walked away from having my own store because I was working like 80 hours a week, and I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. My best friend was joining the police department, and they worked 4 10-hour shifts. And I was like, damn, 3 days off a week? Let's go, right? Like, I was like, that's why I joined the police department. And like, it was like Bad Boys, right? Like, literally, like, we were just like, it was one of the funnest jobs I've ever had. And, but I took a huge pay cut getting into that. And so that's what got me into real estate. I started fixing, flipping. I called it double escrows, which I guess now they call it wholesaling and stuff like that, right? Which is the term. And so I decided to get my license so I could keep the commission. I was like, my agent's not doing anything. Like, I'm just going to keep the commission. Didn't know that it opened me up to liability. I didn't know what all was entailed in that and stuff there. But that kind of started my journey. Everybody was making so much money. And I was like, ooh, me too. And then it wasn't shortly after I got in. I mean, I started by prospecting. I would make 50 contacts a day. Like, I was a big Mike Ferry agent. Okay. And so my mentors were doing 100 plus deals a year, listings a year. I was like, how do I do that? They're like, call for 3 hours a day. I was like, what do I say? They were like, say this script. I was like, okay, this person said they would meet with me. What now? They're like, say this script, right? And it was just one thing. I actually remember my first listing appointment. I was sitting there with the paper in front of me, and I was like, your house is similar to, like, if you're buying a new car, if you have a CD player and rims and tires. And the lady was like, excuse me, are you reading off of your paper? And I looked up at her. I was like, you don't want me to say the wrong thing, do you? And she's like, no. And then I went back to, full disclosure, I did not take that listing, right? Like, but it was the practice, right? I didn't know what to say. So I was just doing what I was told.
Right.
And so, like, still in 2006, when the market was going up, I was making more working 5 or 10 hours a week than I was as a full-time police officer. And I was like, man, what happens, like, if I burn my ship? What happens if I go all in? And so I burned my ship. And then, like, the entire island was also on fire at that time, going down. My dad was like, what happens if you don't sell a home? And I was like, I don't have a choice. Right. And that was it. Like, I mean, I made a lot of money. I lost a lot of money through that journey. I wouldn't change it for the world because the skills that I acquired, I think, are immeasurable. right? Because I don't think agents put enough into their sales skills at this point in time. So I think by my third or fourth year, I was doing 60 to 70 deals a year as a solo agent and a couple of assistants. Realized that I was running out of time in the day. And so I started putting together a group or a team. That at that point, I opened up a brokerage, probably just because I was young and hungry and ambitious, for auction.com. And that got me a lot of bank-owned relationships. This was when like they used to do the big auction warehouses. So they would rent out the Coliseums and everybody's bidding on homes. Now they do most of it online. But we would set up a tent right outside, because I knew if they bought a home, they went behind the stage. And if they were walking out that front door, they did not get the home they were looking for. So we were sitting there with a list of homes, right, that were REOs and foreclosures and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, I have a list, and building our databases and stuff like that.
Smart.
That company only lasted a couple of years. And then the brokerage, like they weren't designed for a brokerage or anything like that, but I kept those relationships. I went over to KW. My group was doing 300-400 deals a year at KW. It was a great business decision. Like, we didn't pay anything. They gave us everything that we ever wanted. It was a little misleading, because I told my mom at the age of 29, I was like, Mom, I'm joining this company. They have this profit share. I'm never going to have to work again. They say nobody brings over 44 agents. This is crazy. I did it, Mom. And I think my largest profit share was $238. And I was like,
really?
I can't even take my team to lunch for this, right? Like, what do I do with this? It was still a good business decision. And then I think this was probably around 2010. We're in the heat of REOs. I have the opportunity to run the largest KW in the Southwest as a team leader, or take a chance on this startup company that nobody's heard of unless you were in the foreclosure space, called Carrington Real Estate Services. They had 286 agents. KW would have been the safer bet. That's never been, like, I've never really worried about being safe or average or anything else. So I was like, excuse my language, fuck it. Like, let's and I thought I was happy. But Carrington also had a good pitch. They were like, you join us, because they came to me and were like, hey, why don't you join us? You're good in foreclosures. You got a good group already. I was like, guys, I don't pay very much here. Like, I'm really happy where I'm at. And they're like, well, we have 500 listings coming through in Nevada next year. If you join us, we'll give you those listings. I was like, oh, well, KW is just a name. I have no ownership. Like, I'm going to double my production just like that. Went over there. And again, these are some of the lessons. Like, I wouldn't change anything. But Las Vegas implemented I was living in Arizona. We packed up our family to move to Las Vegas for this opportunity. And Las Vegas implemented this legislation called AB 284 that stopped foreclosures 2 days after I packed up my family and moved out there.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, we just made the biggest mistake. Now, they paid me a salary of, like, I don't know, let's call it 60 grand a year. That's not why I moved out there, right? I was counting my paychecks way before I ever received them at that point. But I started going back to my roots. And at that time, like, you could buy a house in Las Vegas for $110,000 that would rent for $1,800 a month. Like, beautiful, built 3 years ago, great school districts. And so I started prospecting hedge funds, all of these institutional buyers before they were popular. And I was like, you have to be buying here. Let me just start sending you deals. And my group started closing 30, 40, 60 buyer deals a month. We set up an algorithm. We would just pull all the new listings every single day that came onto the market. We would dump them into an Excel spreadsheet that would do some math for us and say, these are our top 20. And then I would send those to my clients and say, look, these are our top 20 opportunities today. what do you want to offer? I had the templates all set up and we were just mass buying. We didn't look at the properties. We didn't see the properties. We didn't care. It was all about the numbers. And then Carrington, they promoted me so I would stop producing, which is an odd concept, right? Like the corporate, like they were a little upset that I was making so much off of this. And so they promoted me, and I helped kind of grow Carrington to almost 3,000 agents across the country.
Wow.
But we had our own asset management company, and like this got me more entrenched in the REO and the foreclosure space. And I would look and see like, oh man, I got 1,000 listings coming in Chicago next year. Let me go open up some brokerages, right? And I would use that to attract agents and stuff.
Right.
So that was great as long as inventory was coming in. And then 16, 17, 8, like things started like wavering, like the market's getting good. Foreclosures are going down and agents started leaving because we didn't build in a retention model, right? We didn't have the traditional side of things. So we were a one-trick pony at that point in time. And so my biggest client recruited me at that point. That was Zome, Mr. Cooper, and Nation Star. I probably carried 2,000 listings at a time with them.
Wow.
And would pass those out to agents across the country. And I helped them put together a membership program. We bought forsalebyowner.com as a incubation system because we knew all of those people would come back through as a listing at some point, and then we would refer those out to agents and stuff like that. And at that point, when I left Carrington, I wasn't going to leave my license there. And so I had to hang it somewhere.
Okay.
And so that was at the end of 2017. And one of my agents, I sent a video. I sent out I was a Tom Ferry coach in between there as well. And so video is ingrained in me.
Right.
And so I sent out a video and I was like, hey guys, to all my leadership, I just wanted to say thank you so much for this journey. But my time here at Carrington has ended. And I wish you guys the best of luck. If we can ever do more business, let me know. One of my agents was like, Larry, you have to look at this model, right? And I was like, okay, like, what are you so freaked out about, right? Like, how good can this model be type thing?
Right.
And so sent me over, oh my gosh, I think it was like an hour-long Brent Go video. Like, I can't imagine like sitting through an hour-long video right now to look at this. But at that point, I was like, all right, well, let me look. And I talked to him and I was like, guys, I've seen this before. Like I've been at KW, like, yeah, it's cool. It's fine. Like I'll hang my license with you, but like, don't expect too much. Like I've seen this model before. They're like, no, it's different. Let me know. And I got on the phone with Gene Frederick. I got on the phone with Bob Mangold. And he was actually going to be in Houston the next day, which is where I lived. I was like, oh, well, let's go grab dinner. And I think it was Tracy Lewis it was me, Bob Mangold, Scott, and Tracy Lewis. And they showed me a copy of their revenue share check. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like it was unbelievable. I was like, EXP gave you that. Like I had so many questions, right? Like, come on, like, no. They're like, yeah, Larry, like, this is what we're talking about. And EXP had 3,000 agents at that time, right? And that money, like, I could not believe the size of that check, right? Because of what I had been through. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, guys. But here's the thing. I was working corporately for a company, so I had to be very brand ambiguous. I was a secret agent. Right? Like I had to love Keller Williams and Century 21 and every independent brokerage because that's what I was building. And so under the radar, I think I told 9 agents my first year that joined me. That grew to like 36 people.
Okay.
And almost $30,000 in revenue share. And I looked at my wife and I was like, babe, I think this is really going to work. And I didn't realize it was that much because it was like $500 here, $1,500 here, right? Like it kind of slowly crept up. And so again, I was still a secret agent at this point in time. And the second year I had 18 people that had personally kind of partnered with me, and it grew to 80 something and over $70,000 in revenue share. And I'm sitting there. My wife and I go to a mastermind down in Cabo. She hears these people up on stage that were at the right place at the right time. And she's like, you coach, you train, you have these REO relationships. She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, she's like, my wife called me out, right? She was like, why are you playing so small? And I was like, oh shit, I don't know. And I think part of it was like, I needed some security. Like I was the breadwinner, right? I needed to make sure bills were paid, etc. And then I tell people life happens for you and not to you, because shortly after that, Zoom, Mr. Cooper, etc., did a reorganization and laid off our entire department.
Oh.
And so like I was making some big money, and now EXP was all that was coming in. And so it was like, okay, well, I guess somebody else burned my ship, right? So like, what are we going to do with this opportunity now? And that's when I really leaned into the opportunity and started building my systems and stuff here. And the whole goal is, how do we add as much value to people as possible? If I can help an agent increase their production, decrease their cost, and build wealth, like, why wouldn't we do more? Like, tell me why. Like, if there's a better option, and I tell everybody this, like, I've evaluated all of the other models and their financials and their longevity and stuff. I look at this as a business. I am not unrecruitable. I am just so damn expensive at this point in time, right? Like, I will always look, and if there's something that's better for everyone, I just have not found it yet. And I truly believe that. The collaborativeness, right? The openness of other top producers to share their playbook, to share their resources, exactly how they did it, right? Like, I have never seen this sort of collaboration in any other organization. So now, I mean, we're going a little over 5 years into this. I've brought 43 agents in personally. We're at 581 agents, that partners that we love, right? Like, they're our family, our friends, that we are vested in their growth, helping them set up for the next REO market. And truly, like, I get people every single day. And I think this is such a big statement for real estate companies, is agents are like, oh my gosh, Larry, this changed my life. Right. It's a real estate company. Like, nobody says that. People say, I like my broker. Oh, I don't pay. Like, people say all kinds of other shit. It changed your life. Like, yeah. So here we are. And yeah, now I scream it from the rooftops and help other people duplicate this. It's changed my life. And so I want to share it with other people. And I think that you can do that in a relatively short period of time, even without attracting agents. The stock, right? Like, helping agents get to the icon status and like get $16,000 worth of stock. I've seen the stock. How long have you been here, Andre?
4 years in February.
So when I started, like, the stock was at $2 a share.
Oh, wow. It was $8.15 when I started.
Which was good, right? Like, but I've seen it go from $2 a share to $165 a share before it split.
Right.
I have an agent in Huntington Beach, cashed in his stock to put a down payment on his house. His house is 2 blocks from Huntington Beach. That is not a small amount of stock, right? Like, right. I have people that have bought new homes in Illinois, Teslas, etc., for what they're already doing. And so I'm like, well, how much do you like your broker, right? Like, how nice are they, right? Like, are they sharing this with you? Are they doing this, right? And so that's kind of where we're at today, my friend.
Well, that's awesome. That's quite the journey. I'm excited to see what the next 5 years looks like. Where do you think your business is going to be in the next 5 years, and what are you going to be focusing on?
Oh, so I've been building this for the last 3 years now. So everybody makes money in this up market. My niche is in the down market, in the default sector. And so literally strategically, I've like helped a couple of these asset management companies that, that manage these foreclosed listings. They all had brokerages. And part of it was timing, because the last 3 years we've been in moratoriums. They haven't been foreclosed. Like their real estate businesses, they all had real estate agents similar to Carrington merge here. And so now their inventory is starting to pick up, right? I think we've taken 48 listings or something like that so far this year here in Houston with my wife's team from some of these clients, right? I always thought it was really unique. Well, man, if I could go to one client that gives me 40 listings versus 40 clients that give me one listing, it was just economies of scale. People are like, well, you don't make 3%. I'm like, let's compare bank accounts at the end of the year. You tell me which model works better. Like, right. I'm not here to talk anybody into foreclosures or not. Right? Yeah. Like, yeah, some of them are 2.5%. Some of them are 2%. Some of them are less than that. But when you're talking about 100 at a time, it makes life a little bit easier. Now I can build open house teams. I can build sign call teams, right? We can build these systems that are duplicatable. And that was my niche at Tom Ferry when I coach and train, was duplication, right? Like, how do we make money whether we go to work or not? Well, we have to have the right systems, and we have to add massive value to people. And I truly believe that.
And talk about some of because that's what we named this podcast, is building systems that duplicate themselves. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this is the unique part, because I don't think that real estate is a one size fits all. There's people that will not do what I did to start learning how to take listings. They won't call people, right? Like, so what I offer, and I'm actually starting a mastermind group. Like, I want to test this with about 10 people here in the Houston market, that we do a mastermind in person weekly, and that they get my coaching and training and stuff like that. I don't need referral fees or anything like that. I just want them to be affiliated with me.
Ooh, we lost Larry. He might have hit some bad internet weather or something. Let's give him a few minutes here, and there he comes back. There, you're back.
I'm back. I don't know where I went. I don't know why I went. I wasn't even touching anything there. But
I don't know either. Hey, computer, you just show you it's live. You never know what's going to happen. But
right.
I'm glad you made it back.
Yes. So what I was saying was, right, but in this mastermind group of agents that I choose to partner with, we'll build a business plan for them, and every business plan will be different, right? If you're not going to cold call, I do not need to teach you the best script for an expired listing or for sale by owner. Like, let's just figure out what you want to do and be the absolute best at that. I don't need you to be a master, a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like, if you're going to cold call, great. This script is going to crush any results that you get now. If you're going to do open houses, like, and I test everything before I ever coach or train an agent to do it. And so our open house system, the first one that I did here in Houston, we had 144 guests through the door. I had a line wrapped up around the door, people there 30 minutes early, like, Larry, can you make sure that I'm the first one on the guest list? I was like, yeah, but the price is going to ultimately determine who gets the house. They're like, not who saw it first. They're like, this isn't like a high school prom. Like, oh, I saw her first, she's mine. Like, right? Like, that's not the way that this works. And so, when we start talking about duplication, like, part of it is we can have the best tools, resources, technology around. It's irrelevant unless you feed the beast. And so that comes from making contacts every single day. I don't know how to get around that, right? Like, even if you're buying leads, if you don't reach out to those leads, they're not going to convert at the level that you're looking for, right? So this is a contact sport. And so what I try and position agents to do is, well, I don't want you to call and say, hey, Andre, like, do you want to buy or sell a home today? Right? Like, you don't need to be spam to people. Call and add value to them. if they're center of influence and stuff, let's start by making 5 contacts a day, reaching out. Andre, oh my gosh, it's been so long. I'm sorry I haven't kept in touch. What are you doing these days? Oh, really? You're in insurance sales. I talk to hundreds of people every single month. Could I refer business to you?
Right.
Oh, great. Right? Like add value to them. Great. Hey, look, I want to invite you to my Christmas party. What mailing address do you have now? And now they're going into my database, right? And we have Chime and KV Core, which are both awesome. They're getting set up on a monthly email that's pulling data. And we customize the message. It says, hey, Andre, I know that you had no desire to buy or sell your home today, but most people love to see if their home appreciated or depreciated. Here's a snapshot. And now I see you open that 5 or 6 times a few months down the road, and I coincidentally call you and you're like, Larry, I was just thinking of you. I'm like, no shit, that is so weird. You were thinking of me. And I called, what can I do for you? Right? Like, that's where the systems come into play. But if you never make those initial contacts, and if you don't feel comfortable calling people, like, I think it's because you don't know the value and the value that you add to people. I think that it is a damn disservice for you not to do business with me.
Right.
That is my mantra, right? Like, that is my mindset. Like, put me in, coach. Like, this is my game. Like, you and I need to work together, right? We need to do more. And it's a disservice if we don't, right? So it starts with the mindset. Then it starts with the action items, a plan that agents are willing to follow. And then we can start with CRMs. We can start with lead generation. We can start with this. We can start with that. But every agent's plan is different. I mean, my average client at Tom Ferry made $562,000 a year. Every one of their business plans was different. Every one of them. Now, one of them did business the same way. Not one of them was in the same market, right? So This is where, and I go up against any brokerage because can your broker teach you how to do this? No, because your broker's never done this before.
Right.
If your broker's never done it, how do they teach you how to do it? Because then this is theory. Well, if we land on the moon and we do this, like, that's a big if. I'm not on that first rocket ship, guys. I'm sorry. Right? Like, that's not me. So that's it. So when we start talking about that, and as you help people do that, now the beautiful part of this model is that now we go out and teach other people how to do it. And that's where the duplication. So first we have to duplicate your business because this entire model and company is based off of revenue share. If we don't have production, there's 0 revenue share. So that's the first problem we have to solve. Now, once we do that, let's go show other people. Don't be selfish, right? Like, let's go help other people grow. And as we help other people grow, it's kind of paying it forward and it kind of rolls and it gains a lot of steam and a lot of momentum. And it's really the coolest structure I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's changed the industry, right? Like, now you have other companies that are popping up and doing similar things. And we have a $16,000. Well, we have a $15,000 cap. Okay, great. Right? Like, look at their financials, look at their backing. Like, who are you partnering with? The model doesn't matter. You can go to 100% company. If you're not doing any deals, is that really beneficial to you at the end of the year? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you really want to look at the financials of how that company is doing. That's a big deal. I saw ours there just a few weeks ago for the quarter, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't EXP was the only one of the top big companies that increased and showed a huge profit in this last couple of quarters, and everyone else is down like 18-20+%.
Yeah. And I mean, since we took the company public, like, we've paid out dividends early, right? Like, we've done all of these other things and stuff as well. And that was one of the things that keeps it, like, definitely, like, solidifies this. Like, it's the longevity. If the market goes down, I'm not worried about it. We're not frivolous spending, like, right? We're a debt-free company and stuff there. That makes us very flexible in an up market, in a down market, et cetera. And I think that some of these other companies, traditional, cloud-based, et cetera, like, they're already seeing some of those some of those challenges. And I think a lot of agents are going over there with the hopes that they can get in early of this stock that's $1 or $2 and ride it to, and like when it hits 165, those are some big ifs, especially if you're not showing revenue, if you're not showing profit in an up market, right? Like, which is what we just came out of. If you can't do it in an up market, how do you doing it in a down market? Like, riddle me this.
Exactly. Let's talk real quickly about the collaboration and what you've experienced at EXP. I know there's a lot of coaches. I mean, there's a lot of Tom Ferry coaches, Craig Proctor coaches. I mean, and we met on one of our influencer calls.
Yeah.
How's that been instrumental to your business?
I mean, man, just like this, right? Like, so we met on a mastermind call with about 60 people that are in the top 0.5% of all EXP that are just talking, sharing knowledge. Oh, this is working. This is adding value to my agents, right? So that we don't have to go through all of those trials and tribulations ourselves. And then I was like, Andre, like, man, I do a wealth building mastermind call every Friday. Like, come join me, right? Like, how do we add value to other people? And now, man, that was cool. Like, hey, would you mind jumping online? Yes. Like, because you have a different audience than I do. And you're going to have agents like in your group and stuff that resonate with other people. Like, that's not good. That's not bad. We're just humans, right? And there's a reason we collaborate. There's a reason we marry certain people and not others, right? Because of our likes and our dislikes and stuff like that. So this is where this collaboration comes in. I mean, man, I think last Friday on my wealth building mastermind call, I had a 22-year-old agent out of Seattle who took 97 listings his first year in real estate.
Wow.
Like a 35-year-old veteran would be able to take something off of that and implement it into their business as long as they're open-minded. Right. Now, everybody's not open-minded. But man, like, I've reached out, like, you and I are not in the same organization or anything like that. But man, as you grow, I grow. Like, I have a lot of stock now that we've built up and stuff like this. I want to see the stock go back up to 165, right? Like, I want all of these things. And this is where it's really cool, right? Like, I've done collaborations with Jay Kinder, right? Talking about getting some of his agents into the REO sector. I thought Brent Gove was bullshitting me one time. He's like, yeah, here's my cell phone. And I called him one time and he's like, this is Brent. I was like, Brent Gove? He's like, yeah, who is this? And like, I was like shell shocked. I didn't think it was I thought it was his office line. Like, it was his actual phone number. Mm-hmm. And I was calling him because I took ownership in a radio station here in Houston. And I knew that's how he had started, right? He had a radio show back in Northern California. And so I wanted to pick his brain, but then I like lost it when he actually picked up the phone. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I meant to say. Like, right. It took me a second to kind of get my grasp, but we do that, right? Like, we do these mastermind all across the country. And, I've done some cool things. We did a contest and a mastermind group in Nashville, Tennessee one time. And Jay Kinder and some of his and the Nelsons, who are just amazing individuals, right? They were like, let us show you what Nashville is about. We went to this speakeasy with maybe 50 people, and some of the top country music stars in the country came there and did a jam session.
Wow.
Right? Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, like, it was crazy. So we're all doing well. We're teaching other people how to do well, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. And that is a big part, right? If you're not having fun doing it, man, it is going to be an uphill battle the entire way.
And one of EXP's core values is having fun, right? And they have a slogan, making real estate fun again. And it really is true. I mean, if you've been in the business, 20, 30 years like we have, it can be a grind, but when you're literally changing people's lives by helping them, find their perfect, home or sell for top dollar, you're helping your clients. But when you're also able to help real estate agents, up their game, sell more homes, increase their wealth, and it's changing their kids and their grandkids' lives, it's just a whole different, meaning.
Absolutely. And that's an actually a really good point. Like when you're having fun doing what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. Right. You're okay to take call. Like some of my top producers and stuff will call me on the week. Sorry to bother. I'm like, you're not bothering me. Like you're a friend. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
Right? Like I would answer my friend's call on the weekends. I'm going to answer your call on the weekends. What do you need? What can I do? And the other part is like actions and goals kind of aligning, right? We have some family goals to get to 750 agents. And then my wife and kids can totally remodel the entire backyard. I'm not going to pick and choose. I'm not going to nickel and dime, right? So I needed them to align so I could take calls after hours. So I could take calls on the weekends if need be. That's the exception and not the rule. Right. But when we're all rowing in the same direction, my family, my tribe, our group, our organization, right? Everybody gets a little bit more involvement. We talked a little bit prior to the show about Tony Robbins, right? Like we went to Unleash the Power Within in Florida. I think I took 22 people last year to that, right? This year, it's coming up in Dallas. Tickets aren't even on sale yet, but they're like, because I've done so much and been with them for so long and done some groups and stuff like that, we can buy our tickets now. I already have, I think, 32 people signed up for this November. Like things like that will change people's lives, right? And now we have this, again, this camaraderie, right? When you go through these life-changing experiences. And so I just want to share what's worked for me with other people. I don't need to work with everybody. I want to work with the people that align with me, that we're going to collaborate, that we're going to do things together. They want coaching. Great. I'll give you coaching, but you got to do what I say, right? Like, don't challenge me at every point. Otherwise, like, you don't need me. Like, just go do it, right? Like, you don't need to waste my time if you have it all figured out already.
What would you say to an agent or a broker owner, Larry, that's comfortable where they're at? They've been, doing the same thing for 20 years, and they're comfortable, and they love their broker, not looking to make a move. And most people aren't looking to make a move. But how do you approach someone like that?
So comfortable is like a cuss word to me, right? Like every day I am pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. I'm trying to push other people outside of their comfort zone because that's where we grow.
That's right.
Right. And so this is where I'm not trying to sell anybody on this. I'm trying to figure out what they want. Right. And most of the people are not at their goals. And as long as they're comfortable, they're only going to do the things that fit in, right? That kind of come to them, that they're only going to do the things that are comfortable, and that's not going to change their results or anything like that. So generally that's not the person that I'm looking to align with.
Right.
Right. And so that may not be a good fit for me. I want the people that want something bigger, that want to do this, that want to do that. The only reason I can find that out is because I ask the right questions. And agents should be doing that on listing presentations, not selling why they're the best listing agent or all of the things that they've done. What do their clients need? And I treat this the same way when I'm talking to agents. Okay, so you want to get into the REO and default space, right? But your broker has never sold a foreclosure. Are they going to be able to help you? Okay. Are you comfortable being in this same spot in 5 years? Right? Like, if you are, like, you have my blessing, right? Like, go forward and prosper. If not, do you think you should change? Or what kind of, even if you stayed at your same brokerage, what kind of things do you think that you need to do to set yourself up for that? If there was a faster path to get you there quicker, would that interest you? Right. And so that's where, again, if you ask the right questions, lots of times people will walk into the bear trap themselves.
Exactly.
But it's also hard because in our industry, people have been sold things for so long, and like they think that you're full of shit. So this is where, I mean, I followed up with people for 3 years, adding value to where people are like, oh, you're really not going to stop. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to add value to. At some point, you're going to see that it's a disservice for us not to do business together because you're not getting this from where you're at now. And then when I help them with something, I'll be like, man, if we did more of that daily, how much do you think that would equate to in business? Now we start putting numbers to that, right? But it's not an instant kill type thing for me, right? I'm not hunting, right? I'm planting crops and seeds and building relationships and stuff like that for when the time is right to really just knock it out of the park with people.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's the way to do it. Just continue adding value to people around you, and it all comes back to you one way or the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not a good fit, it's okay, And some people think, at first I think they're skeptical. Okay, yeah, he's just doing that to try to convince me to come over. But if you do it for years and you continue providing value, at some point, like you said, they're going to get you. Just really want to help them and see them win. And when the time is right, if they partner with us, great. And if not, hey, you still made them and the world a better place because you did add the value. So I love your heart and what you're doing, Larry. So I really appreciate your time today. Just a couple of quick questions and we'll wrap things up. If you could do it all over again, if you could join EXP all over again, would you do anything different?
I would not be scared to talk to people. So there was a few people that I briefly mentioned it to, and I did not follow up because I was like, oh, he'll never want to join. They're happy where they're at. Like I had all of these thoughts in the back of my head. They're here and have 800 people, 1,000 people. Those are expensive lessons.
Yeah.
Right. I have to know my value and my worth. I knew had I just pushed it, I could have partnered and stuff with them. Somebody else showed them the opportunity and they were like, oh man, that's a no brainer. Right. Came over. They've changed a lot of people's lives. So there's 2 or 3 beta alphas that I've talked to. I was the first person to talk to. I didn't follow up. I didn't want to be pushy or this and that. Right. I didn't add enough value and somebody else did. Just the model alone added drastic value for them and changed their lives.
I made the same mistake, Larry. I mean, called some people, several, shared the opportunity, but just wasn't right timing. It's a thanks. It looks great, but it's not for me or whatever. And didn't continue to, just stay in that posture of giving value and keeping that relationship going. But someone else showed them the opportunity and did. And now they're at the company as well. So it happens to all of us, I think, in the beginning, because we don't know what we don't know. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I always end with asking people, if you're a movie watcher, what's your favorite movie? Or if you're a big reader, what's the book that you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
So, I mean, one of mine is a classic, and it's Think and Grow Rich, right? It helped me start to reprogram my mind. Now, it's interesting. You got to get past the language. You got to think about when it was written, right? Mm-hmm. There's some derogatory terms. There's some sexist terms and stuff like that I don't align with. I think it was more accepted at that point in time. But if you look at the overall messaging and take what you can from that, I think it's a very powerful read. Right. On manifestation, on changing your mindset. What you focus on gets results. Mm-hmm. And so that is the book that I would read there. And I don't we don't have cable, we don't have TV or anything like that at our house. We went through Hurricane Harvey here. Mm-hmm. And we had literally, I blew up an air mattress so my kids could sit on it as a boat. To get out of our neighborhood and stuff. And at that point, we stopped using cable. I didn't realize how much time I spent watching TV, watching other people play sports. I ran a fantasy football league for 13 years at that point in time. And man, the hours that I consumed, I don't do that anymore. And I use it on things that help me grow, right?
There you go.
And so I'm not a big TV person. I'm more learning and reading and a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation, a lot of physical fitness and just kind of pushing the limits and stuff on this day and time now.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today. If anyone wants to reach out to you, Larry, how's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I'm available. All social media handles is the exact same, at Larry MF White on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way for us to start a conversation. Right. And then like if we actually need to pick up the phone and stuff like that, I have no problem. I mean, I'm in real estate. Like my phone number is everywhere. If you just Google Larry MF White and stuff there. But social media is probably the best. I would love to connect with you. If anybody wants to join our mastermind every Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, we generally have, last time we had almost 100 people on the call and stuff there. So the more the merrier, just trying to add value and help people change their lives. So if we can ever do any more, please let me know.
Thanks for all you do, Larry, for your team and for EXP and just the world in general. You're a good guy. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better, seeing you at some of the live events. Thanks for your time and jumping on the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. And we'll see everyone next Wednesday.
All right. Sounds great, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Larry. Take care, buddy. Listen to what our business partners are saying about our FFF group.
What I love most about our group, the alignment, the fact that I am aligned with some of the top producers in the world and can pick their brain any second of the day has been absolutely incredible for my business and has taken it to the next level. And I have to account it to alignment.
My favorite thing about the FFF group is just being surrounded by people with the same mentality as us that are striving for something better and building a better long-term plan for themselves.
My favorite part is the support. I can't tell you how many top producers have just kind of dropped what they're doing and supported us in a big way when we've had any kind of curveballs or compliance issues or any kind of new experience. Everyone within our group is just willing to give, and that's probably the best part about our Financial Freedom Group.
I believe if you surround yourself with like-minded people that are doing 10, 15, 20 times more than me and you put together, we all bring each other up and bring our businesses to the next level and our lives. To learn more about how to partner with us, go to partnerwithandre.com or click the link below and let's have a conversation.